Let's step for prayer and pledge allegiance.
Thank you this morning, God, for this day that you have given us. And as we come for our county business, we ask you to lead us and guide us in the way we should go. In your name we ask, we say together, amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Just before we get started, we'll yield to Vice Chair to introduce someone.
All right, so I'd like to introduce Mr. David Boackle over here in the green shirt. He is serving as commissioner in the City of Gluckstadt Planning and Zoning Commission. And he, like I, are fellow Gluckstadt residents. He's president of the board of Ridgefield Homeowners Association. So he's well ensconced in Gluckstadt. He is a chief engineer for the Mississippi Public Utilities staff, provides technical support to Mississippi Public Service Commission in regulating all utilities in the state of Mississippi. He also serves as a forensic engineer and insurance consultant. David is a forensic fire insurance consultant at Boackle Engineering. He's a licensed professional engineer in Mississippi, Alabama, and Louisiana. He's well educated. He owes a BS degree in mechanical engineering from my alma mater, Mississippi State University, and an MS in fire protection engineering from California Polytechnic State University. So we welcome David to see how Madison County's Planning and Zoning Commission operates. Thank you, David.
Welcome, David. At this time, considerations for October minutes.
So move.
It's been moving properly second. We accept the minutes. Ready to vote?
Aye. Aye. Aye.
All right, ayes have it, so it is. Move to open the public hearing.
I so move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So it is. First is that Prakash? Prakash? All right.
Scott, does everybody have a copy of this? I brought some, and y'all got them? All right. My name is Stuart Rutledge, and I'm here to request a recommendation for a zoning change on a parcel northwest of Canton. That if you were sitting on it, you'd probably think you're in Canton, but it's just outside the city limits. I represent and am the owner of a company called Rosedale Corporation, and we've developed about 30 neighborhoods, mostly in the southeast, but we're lifelong Mississippians, and so we put the most time and effort into our work here in Mississippi. Particularly Madison County and the city of Canton are extra important to us, as although this may be unusual, I'm 41 and my mom still wanted to come see this. She grew up in Pickens, so as I say in this, Canton was always kind of the city to them, which I now see that there are other cities, but it's doing this work that close to my family's. I mean, we still have our family lives in Pickens is just extra personal and important to us, which, you know, a lot of developers who do a number of things, particularly out of state, or you could have some concerns about, but I'm extremely local. Further, we're using John Granberry as our project engineer at this point as we go through this design. So what I'm asking, and I'll just kind of show y'all where I'm going along, is the page that says request and purpose. We are asking the Planning Commission and then the Board of Supervisors to rezone a single parcel from R2 medium up to the next designation, R3 high density. And then the next page is private housing. What that would enable us to do is what we do all over, which is develop high-quality new construction that is aimed at a community with a growing workforce. And the way we would be funded is it'll be a privately owned development that will use a combination of just a traditional bank loan and federal housing tax credits, which are aimed at the workforce. They're aimed to bridge the gap between extremely low-income housing, which is not what this is, but also, your million-dollar houses, which a lot of your employees in the massive growth in Madison County that's where they fall, and that's what this is aimed to address. Going to the next page, it shows you where the parcel is, and it is just outside the city limits, and the owner is actually Prakash Agrawal and his wife. And their parcel, as you can see, extends into the city limits, but I'm not asking y'all about the city portion. This is only relevant to the county portion. And then the next page would make more sense if it was on a PowerPoint, but it's just a zoom in of the exact site. This request that I'm asking of y'all will undoubtedly improve the area where it is located. And I mean that specifically to what's around it and to the city of Canton and to the unincorporated Madison County in that area. And it also, we have been fortunate enough to earn city support, which is very relevant when you're going to be that close to the city. The next page, these are some examples of some of our site plans and the work that we do. We have a strong track record that is proven, and we've earned the support of 100% of the governments where we've ever built. Moving on, the next page is just a letter from Alderman Penn. He's known my family for a long time, and he knows our work personally, and I've met with him, and I've also spoken with Alderman Wales, and they know what we're doing. They've seen all this as well, so we're happy to have city support, although it's not their jurisdiction. I think it's, local etiquette to make sure they're on board. With regard to the comparable zoning, if you look at this page, you'll see that there are 10 parcels with the zoning I'm requesting within 2 miles of this location, which shows that it would be appropriate within this area. And then the next page is just a zoom in. Again, that shows you the site, and then the orange. And if I need to slow down, I'm just trying not to take a lot of y'all's time, but if you want me to slow down at all, please tell me. But this page that has a bunch of orange push pins and says site, that just shows you how close all the push pins represent comparable or parcels with the exact same zoning. Then to make sure we satisfy the legal requirements, in order for a zoning amendment, you have to have either a mistake in the original zoning, which no one's claiming that occurred, or the character of the neighborhood has changed enough to justify a reclassification and a public need. Of course, it has to be made in accordance with your comprehensive plan, and a state law says changes in the plan are permissible and to be expected, as the purpose is to bring about coordinated physical development in accordance with present and future needs. So the requirements of rezoning, this request does satisfy all 3 requirements, which are compliance with Madison County's comprehensive plan, a change in the character of the neighborhood, and a public need for higher quality residential housing. Item 1, and I'm on the page that has a big 1 and a box at the top. And this request does comply with your comprehensive plan. Your comprehensive plan says that the quality and occupancy of a community's housing stock are the key indicators for economic growth. And from 2000 to 2010, and we know there's been explosive growth since then, the number of total households in Madison County increased 31.6%. Further, Madison County is unique in that it does not own or manage any public housing such that all your housing needs, you rely on private developers like myself to come in and satisfy those needs. The comprehensive plan considers the 2010 population, and it also considers recent ESRI estimates and 2040 projections to calculate Madison's emerging needs, so the forward-looking needs. And then if you'll go to the page with three kind of icon-like pictures in circles, this is all excerpts from your comprehensive plan. Your comprehensive plan, the 2019 edition at Chapter 3, states that Madison County will need in the near future over 17,000 single-family homes, almost 1,000 multifamily homes, and about 2,500 manufactured homes. And to put it in context, our goal here would be probably about 50. So it is a dent, but all the same, you got to chip away. This next page with a green box on the left and a blue box on the right, that green box on the left is a direct screenshot of your comprehensive plan. And it's, as you can read, it says, a goal of Madison County is to maintain and expand residential density patterns while not overburdening transportation and facilities. Y'all have wisely indicated you want to provide a mix of residential densities and to put higher density residential developments in areas where you have the infrastructure. And then the ultimate goal is to provide housing to meet the need of citizens at an affordable cost. This isn't Fifth Avenue, this isn't New York City, so you address the people that live here. And that's why this site was chosen, is that it's both in the county, but it is directly adjacent to the city of Canton, so it satisfies all these by having infrastructure and addressing specifically who will live there. And then if you turn to the next page, the character of the neighborhood has changed. Y'all know that Madison County has experienced massive growth and continues to do so, primarily in job growth, but job growth is dependent on houses. As I'm sure you all have heard employers state. Just a few excerpts. Your comprehensive plan lists Madison's county population at 95,000. It's currently 107,000. You know, the latest census data just came out. Y'all are the 7th most populous county in Mississippi and the 2nd fastest growing in the state with an 8.1% population growth over the last 5 years. And one of the largest population increases based on the 2020 census, and that data has only been out, I think, about 3 months now. So the huge growth, outpacing almost all the other counties, a choice for a county, and going off script here, is that those people can either live in Madison County and pay Madison County taxes, or they're going to commute in on buses or come in from other counties. They go to where the houses are. And that's why new construction, high-quality construction, is a wise choice for a county to accommodate when you have massive job growth. The public need, and this is the page that has box 3. Madison County has had 4% job growth over the last year, added 2,100 jobs, and that is exceeding the state average of 0.8%. Madison, Hinds, and Rankin counties, which I know y'all are simultaneously a tri-county area, but compete with one another for tax base and where people live and how you're going to sustain your communities. Those three have the largest labor force in Mississippi, but Madison County, and here's a key factor of why new housing is so important to Madison, and why you see so much new construction occurring. Madison County, in spite of all this, has almost 25,000 residents who commute into the county for work. And very simply, they don't pay Madison County taxes. They come in and work here and go back home and pay taxes elsewhere. But in a general sense, there is a indisputable growing need in the U.S. for attractive, well-maintained homes for America's middle-class workers. Home ownership has become prohibitively expensive for a lot of people in the jobs that Madison County has attracted. So these employers and the employees go to places where they can find simultaneously high quality but also realistically priced housing. And that combination is hard to achieve. As an example of the type of groups with whom we work and the types of residents we would have, is this page that says Trent Lott Center for Excellence in Economic Development and Entrepreneurship. These are two organizations that help Madison find employers, help Madison find employees, and we end up providing housing for where they would live. And then just by the numbers, the page with local economic benefits, our goal, and this project, relatively speaking, is small. Y'all have apartment developments and housing developments that are way bigger than what I'm proposing. But this would create an investment in the community of about $10 million. And obviously zoning is just the first step before we, achieve financing. But then as new construction, as opposed to rehabilitation or just putting a paint job on an existing structure, it's going to bring in lumber purchases, tons of new jobs with local subcontractors, particularly dirt work. And when we do this, we only build high quality and we aim at that specific community's workforce, which is why I'm in this room and not in any other room in any county in Mississippi. So in conclusion, Madison County is growing rapidly, no sign of slowing, and although my request is small, allowing this parcel 1 zoning designation up would at least give me the opportunity to try to help the county keep pace with its housing needs. We will do so using new construction, extremely high quality. Our request satisfies the legal requirements for zoning, but beyond that, the opportunity positions Madison County to increase the quality of its housing stock while also bringing strong economic development to the area. So that's the end of my presentation, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions?
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Is Rosedale going to be the builder? Y'all
The,
gonna
the
build it?
builder, we have an in-house builder named Winters Construction. That would be the general contractor. But like most general contractors today, your company is who your subs are. So the people on site would be subcontractors of that general
You
contractor.
won't be selling lots to other
No.
builders?
No, sir.
What-
All in one.
What size housing are we looking at?
The purpose of this would be, the zoning currently would allow single-family detached or duplexes. These would be what are called garden-style apartments or multifamily. They would not be as big as I don't know what they're called, the ones where there's about 1,000 of them off the interstate. It'd be much smaller, so when you looked at it, it would look kind of like what you see on the cover of this presentation. It's really close to a hybrid between a single-family home and a condo or a townhouse. And what we found is what communities care about is maintenance, and it puts all the maintenance on us, not the residents. So we cut the grass, we keep the streets clean, and we keep everything clean, but without being a sprawling multifamily complex. So you kind of get the best of both worlds. And that's obviously tailored. This is workforce housing, so it's tailored to who we know our residents would be.
So you don't have a square footage of the residents?
They probably, I can estimate, because we've built this many times, it would probably be 1,300 to 1,500 square feet.
Okay.
We often do mix of 3-bedroom and 2 bedrooms.
All right, how far is that partial land running, down beside
Let me look.
the Southern Hill Baptist Church?
Mr. Agarwal's parcel, the one we're discussing, if you look at it on here, that's 16 coming in, and then that's Foles Road. And can you tell me specifically what you're asking?
Where the church is located on 16, right?
Scott,
there?
do you know? I mean, I can't estimate that distance personally. I wouldn't even want to guess.
Give me a second. Let's see, that's
I
I
could.
think that land run on the side of the church.
I know it's nearby. Let me pull up a map, because I know that was one of the notification letters we mailed out. And if you beat me to it, Scott, please do, but I'm gonna look it up too.
The name of that church?
Southern Hill Missionary Baptist Church. Right there on 16. I think that partial land run down there by that church.
is the church north of those apartments right there on 16?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's, if I'm looking at this aerial correctly, I'm thinking it's about a quarter-mile south of the church.
But anyway, that's the land that you.
No, I
that we're
apologize.
talking-
It's very close. It's the church is south of the apartments,
Right.
so it's one parcel north, and so they were one of the groups we notified of this,
Okay.
which is a great thing. I mean, we love to be near churches.
Well, one of the problems that I have with it is that church has been trying to buy at least an acre of that portion for parking space to get them off the highway.
Okay.
And so I just don't feel though that, I know I'm gonna get some feedback on it, but I just can't support this. And when the church been begging to buy an acre of that land just for parking space,
Sure.
and then we wanna put some apartment houses in there. I can't get that.
Do you know how many parking spaces the church would desire?
I'm quite sure about 100.
100.
Oh, they parking on the highway.
Yeah.
On Sunday morning.
Well, what I would suggest, if looking at a map, I don't know if Mr. Agarwal has been approached by the church, but there's a parcel or a pretty big gap of space between the church and this parcel.
Right.
I may be wrong, but I don't think the church would have been pursuing something that would have been about 100 yards away, because that wouldn't have connected. In other words, this parcel does not touch the church. So I think what you're probably referring to is something directly between the church and this parcel, because that wouldn't make any sense to walk 100 yards.
That's correct from what I'm seeing.
Between the church-
That property belongs to someone else.
Okay, two different,
It's two different
Parcels.
parcels.
okay.
But I'll tell you this, with me there, I'm not making any promises. I guarantee you right now, I'll help you try to get that parking, or we're looking at 10 acres and only 48 units. We probably will have extra spots. So if that seller, who I have no control over, you can't blame me for his behavior, if he won't work with you, you at least got somebody right here who will commit to doing that.
Okay. We apologize.
I'm glad, I appreciate the
They got a
question.
little heated behind that.
Let's,
Yeah.
but let's once if we're able to get going and we're able to mobilize and do something,
Right, right.
we become a part of the community and we'll go help. I mean, we can't,
Sure we do the right thing?
yeah, let's do it. Glad I passed that
Well,
test.
You got my support.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions?
I'm done.
Any opposition? Go to the podium, state your name. and all.
My name is Floyd Chambers, and my wife is Hattie. And my concern, I'm not sure whether I'm really listening to this gentleman's presentation, whether this is the letter that I received from the zoning board. But it's showing 23 acre plot, acres. Is that it? And that's direct.
parent parcel, yes, sir.
That's directly across in front of my house, our house. And I hear him keep saying that this is in the county. Well, where I live is in the city,
Right.
directly in front of it. And I'm concerned about what it will do to the value of our property, building some apartments. All of my life, I've always heard that apartments take the value down on property value. And putting some apartments right in front of our house, and then we just had another house that's built that's way over $200,000 and some, and then what it's going to do? Some apartments right in front of our house. That's a concern of mine. Usually, apartments bring in income people who are not. I heard him say that they were going to be responsible for keeping up the apartments, cutting the grass, making sure the yards is right, but that's still a concern about.
Come to the podium.
Okay, would you all like me to respond to that or wait?
Okay, you opposition also? Yes. Come on. And then you have a time after.
My name is Ben Connor. and I'm one of the directors of the Madison County Shrine Club, which is located adjacent to this parcel immediately to the south. As I've listened to Mr. Rutledge's presentation, it occurs to me that first we decide that we want to build some apartments, and now let me tell you how to justify it. All the growth that he has told you about is in the Gluckstadt and Madison area. Gluckstadt is now the demographic center of a population of over 300,000 people. The city of Canton is not. The city of Canton is the demographic center of about 10,000 people. The property that Mr. Rutledge wants to rezone on the west side is bounded by a railroad track. There will be no access to the property across the railroad track. It's bounded on the east by another, about a 2-acre parcel that Mr. Agrawal owns that abuts Highway 51. Without curb cuts off of Highway 51, you'll have to drive through Mr. Agrawal's commercially zoned and owned property to get to this 23 acres. On the north end, you got Highway 16. Now, in terms of the neighborhood changing, Hattie and Floyd Chambers have been in their house for
23 years.
a long time, since I was a young adult. The Madison County Shrine Club has been there since 1971. There's a service station that's located on property just south of it. It's been there since the 60s. That neighborhood hasn't changed a twit in at least 50 years, maybe 60. So the idea that there's been a lot of growth in Gluckstadt, therefore we need to build multifamily housing adjacent to the city limits in Canton it just doesn't make sense. So what I would ask the zoning board to look at is there a need, and this board decisions are all based on public need, is there a need to make more dense housing when we've already got medium density housing zoning? You shouldn't change zoning to accommodate builders or to accommodate a financing program or a government entity that's going to come in here and subsidize the project so that owners of a general partnership can be paid to cut the grass. That's not what zoning is about. It's about public need. If you look at the reasons for changing the zoning, those reasons actually support maintaining R2 zoning in that area. If you'll look across the street, across Highway 51, there are a couple of beautiful subdivisions that have been built back in there in the last, 10 years? That's the change. The change is that we're having single-family R1, R2 construction going on, making really nice residential neighborhoods for people like the Chambers. And when you add in high density, you're inviting a deterioration in the neighborhood. That's not what the public interest is. That's not benefiting the public. It's not what we're about. Now, the Madison County Shrine Club is a charitable organization. We've been stuck in the woods for 50 years, and we're just surrounded by, by trees. So I'm kind of selfish. We like the seclusion. And I admit to you that part of our objection is selfish. But we love children too. I don't know if you came to Red Rutledge? Red Rutledge? No, sir. I thought Red Rutledge, an old engineer, I thought might be some of Mr. Rutledge's kinfolks, was an old Shriner. And, we give a lot of money to the children's hospitals, 23 of them around the world. And that's what our little bitty participation is. So when Mr. Rutledge tells us that his project is a small project, well, so's ours, but we've been there for 50 years. And the change is not going to benefit the neighborhood. What would benefit the neighborhood was to put another subdivision in there of R2 housing, which I think is supported by all the reasons for the change that you've been presented with today.
Point well taken. Anybody else? You want to respond?
To the second gentleman, Canton has lagged behind in growth of Gluckstadt and Madison. That's absolutely true, and that's specifically why we're coming to Canton, is to help Canton experience some of the same growth that the other have with regard to the building nice single-family neighborhoods. That is right for some people. And these gentlemen have the luxury of being able to afford single-family homes with mortgages, and that is wonderful for some people. But we are specifically targeting serving workforce people that we've served in a number of communities, and they can't all maintain their jobs, maintain a house, and maintain a mortgage. So this is a one step up to provide another opportunity. With regard to the comprehensive plan, objective number one of the residential goals is to provide a mix of residential densities to suit different needs and tastes. It would be wonderful if we could have the whole county have single-family detached and everybody has, their half acre and a house. But that's just not realistic, and that's why your comprehensive plan calls for a variety of densities. I also fully respect having a commercial charitable organization that's been tucked in the woods in seclusion. I wish nobody would ever build around my house, but I don't own that land, and I can't dictate to others that I just like being in the woods, so don't go use the woods. So then with regard to the traffic, we will be able to cross from the west, but it's premature to consider those questions. That's what site plan review is for, and that's not even in consideration until we submit for a site plan. But obviously access issues have to be addressed before we'd ever get building permits. So that's not really what we're here today to discuss, is the way the site would be laid out. But what we intend to build does match the needs of the county. And if we want to isolate and say, well, only Gluckstadt needs new construction, well, then only Gluckstadt will get new construction. But we're here to serve the Canton area and District 5, and we're located where the infrastructure is and within, as you saw, proximity of a number of similarly zoned parcels, and we would just like the opportunity to work here rather than somewhere else.
So you building to rent,
Yes, sir, we will lease these properties. Yes, sir.
so you won't be selling these?
That's correct.
Okay.
Which, for this purpose, is superior because we're responsible for maintenance. So you're not having to have code enforcement over, if you drive through Northwest Canton right now, code enforcement has a challenge there. And in this case, you'd have a one-stop shop for both the development and the maintenance, which is a positive for sure.
What is the zoning of the areas around the site? You talked about all of the R3 areas within 2 miles, but what are
Generally,
what's the rest of it?
R2s and commercial. And Mr. Flowers was referring to the city parcel, and we're not asking about the frontage, which is the city parcel. And again, that's intentional, and that's wise planning, is to leave the frontage in the city for commercial. So you have a gas station just north of it, you have some apartments, and then you have a church, you have a commercial use with the Shriners facility, and then just south, and I'm just doing this with my hands, you have a mixture of the zoning we're seeking, R2, and then commercial uses. There's some of the plants out there that are shut down, and what we're trying is to reinvigorate that area and bring people back to Northwest Canton. So it's a mixture, is what it is, but a mixture we match.
And you said another apartment complex is up there?
Yes, sir. If you look at the map, there's one directly north of it. It's kind of an outlier. If you go, let's see, I can show it to you. It's
Looking at this right here. I'm looking
okay.
Mr.
is it on
Billingsley, the one directly north to it on Highway 16 West is Pecan Village, and it is a non-conforming use. It was zoned, it wasn't zoned, it was built way back when, and so it's a non-conforming use. So
Right.
if it burned down or natural disaster or anything like that came through, they wouldn't be able to rebuild it. They would have to go back through a rezoning hearing.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
But we'll be compared to that, and that's who our neighbors are. The question of neighborhood does not mean literally the people next door. Neighborhood encompasses a large area than that. We will unquestionably, as you can see from these pictures, be superior in quality, and with all due respect, a higher per home unit price of the appraised value than anything in the vicinity. But of course, that is something we would address at site plan.
And your primary market for these units is going to be the working people in Canton?
Yes, sir. For instance, in Pontotoc, just to rather than to say what I promised you, I'll tell you what I'm doing today.
That's okay. That wasn't my.
Okay. Yes, sir. I'm
That
sorry.
wasn't my question. My question is, how have you determined that need?
Fortunately, the latest U.S. Census data came out, a few months ago, and that's your number one indicator. But then we also have done multiple market studies, and the demand in Canton, and I mean Canton, I don't mean Gluckstadt, for housing is massively beyond the stock in Canton. And you do that by calling apartment complexes, calling houses, looking at occupancy, and you produce what's called a capture rate. And they say for you to fill up, how many of the available renters or lessors would you have to capture? And it is a tiny number. And it's because, as the other gentleman pointed out, all the housing has gone elsewhere.
Okay, and there are reduced vacancies in the existing
Yes, sir.
multifamily
Yes, sir.
complexes in the area?
Yes, sir. And the main reason, a way you see that is, another key statistic is how many people are commuting into the county. Those people wouldn't commute in if they could live, you wouldn't have 25,000 commuters from another county if they could find a place to live. And this is common in Mississippi, though, that places where industry grows, and Madison has just boomed, the housing never keeps up. So this is just a tiny dent in providing that. So, but to summarize, the concerns are valid, but they are addressed, is that it will be extremely high quality, maintained by one party rather than, putting 50 more people for the code enforcement to deal with. I do appreciate that the Shriners Club has been in the woods and doesn't want anybody to build in those woods, but respectfully, this is Mr. Agarwal's property. I think it's proper of him to try to seek the highest and best use for it. And we do request the opportunity to build here.
Scott, how many notification went out?
They go out to the people within 160 feet.
16 went out.
How many?
16.
16.
And they were all certified receipts, so that's a fair question, is that 16 notices went out to every single neighbor. And it wouldn't shock me in some places to have 30 people show up, but I think that's a very valid question. I appreciate you bringing that up.
You said 30 people against?
No, I'm saying you go to some communities, you may put out a notice of 16, and you might get 30 people, because everybody, it's a key indicator to show what do the very direct 160 feet neighbors, how do they feel, is how many of the notices produce people showing up. And with all due respect, we have 2 of 16, which I'm very happy with that few opponents.
Anybody else?
Are these mainly going to be duplexes?
They would be what are called garden-style apartments, which is, if you looked at it, you would think it was about like a townhouse or a condo. There are no breezeways, the term apartments creates bad connotations. They're going to be low level. They're going to be 2, if necessary, 3 stories. They'll have ADA accessible units, extensive landscaping, large entrance signage. So that garden style apartment is kind of a term of art, but it's basically just above a duplex, but well below what you'd normally think of as apartments per se. Small in scale. If you looked at it, you'd say this is a small 2 or 3 buildings.
I was just wondering why did more people show up to this opposition. And for me, I'm really not for no apartment, I'm telling you. And I know what I told my supervisor, but I'm just not feeling that.
And I would respectfully request that it would be idealistic, we can say we want everybody to have unattached homes, but that is not the makeup of this area. And I try to go into communities and provide the housing for the people who live there, not just what we hope would be there.
Let me hear from the young lady there.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. My name is Hattie Chambers, and I know you alluded to the club that was in the woods, but we are not in the woods. We're right across from that. And you also alluded to that the city of Canton needing apartments. And my concern is that the trails that was built not too long ago, my granddaughter lived there, and when I went over there to see her, there were so many empty apartments over there. So there's not such a need because they are all completely empty. They're needing people to move in. And they are similar to the ones that you described also. So in saying that Canton needs so many apartments, I find that to be untrue. And again, that's our home where we are living in. We are not living in the woods. And when we moved there because of the site it is and in the city of Canton. So we would like it to stay as it is.
Where's the trail at? That's 55?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Okay.
That's those new apartments.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought with the links.
Yeah. The links is on 51.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. Okay.
I entertain a motion.
I move we approve the request for rezoning.
Anybody else? There's no second. Comment?
I move we deny the request for rezoning. I'll second.
Been moved and properly second to deny. All in favor? Ayes have it, so it is.
Thank you. And I just say, I hope to be able to build in Canton one day, but I would just encourage y'all to look how many single-family detached are coming there, and maybe when I come back next time, we can reconsider.
All right. Move to close public hearing.
So move.
Second.
All in favor?
All right.
All right. Site plan, AutoZone.
Yes, my name is Ray Flake. I'm from Civil Engineering Services. I am the licensed engineer that's doing this project for AutoZone. What we're looking at doing is doing approximately a 7,400 square foot retail building in AutoZone, auto parts store on Gluckstadt Road. And we're required to have, I believe, 33 parking stalls there, and we're having 38. So we have enough parking. We're willing to work with, I appreciate Scott and all the work he's done and the staff, and I'm here to answer any questions that you may have about this project.
Okay. My pet peeve, your handicap parking spaces are too narrow. The county requires 9.5 foot. ADA says 8 foot minimum, and that's what you used, but we require 9.5 feet.
Okay, we,
Be changed.
what width do you rather have the striped area in between the two? Is that,
Be minimum of 5 feet by ADA.
okay.
I know the new ADA that came out in 2010 left out a statement that was in the previous, which said local municipalities and jurisdictions may have different standards than that 8-foot width minimum. And I noticed in the new standard, it omits that, but we will hold to the 9.5-foot minimum width.
That shouldn't be a problem. We have our striped areas 8 foot wide,
You do.
so we can easily, make those 9.5 foot.
The minimum is 5 feet.
Yep,
16.
so, with that, we can mark that. Fortunately, our other parking stalls, we have extra wide, they're 10 foot wide,
10
so.
foot, yeah.
Then they're only required to be 8.5, I believe, so we have plenty of room to do that, not a problem.
180 square feet with a 9.5-foot minimum width. So you got 10 by 18, that's
Yeah.
180 square feet.
Yeah.
Some of your vehicles may be sticking out in the drive, but
And in the other drive, you can see we got that drive aisle much wider, and,
if you ever have that many people parking at your store's gonna be too busy. Not your store, but
I've never really seen a full parking lot in AutoZone, but,
I know.
my car's been parked there many times, so.
Okay. You didn't provide a grading plan, so we don't really know anything much more than the building elevation, which you realize is basically below street level. And looking at the contours that you did provide, do you really want that building that low?
We are above the finished floor elevation required for the flood zone as well, so we are above that.
That means you're gonna have to excavate just to put a parking lot in. It's gonna make it even lower than the street.
Yeah, we're,
Just asking from a civil engineer standpoint, because me, I wouldn't put that in that zone, I wouldn't put it that low in the ground myself.
and we'll make sure that it's got that. We also have to do the compensating volumes as well in the floodway, in the flood plain area, and we're gonna be doing that as well, so I'll make sure that we're high enough.
Okay.
Walter, there's no retention required, retention ponds?
In that area, I don't think so, because it's right adjacent to a floodway.
Yeah.
And I think the engineer would accept overland flow down to that without putting in a retention pond. It seems it's kind of a moot point to me. It'd just be a pond of whole water, because it's gonna be below anyway. So, maybe a mosquito breeder. That's a contour plan or grading plan would have helped. I'm sure you've got one. You didn't submit one.
We do, yeah, we do, and we'll make sure that we work with staff to make sure that's done properly as well. We don't have any problem with that. We don't want our building getting wet, so.
Okay.
Any other questions? Entertain a motion.
I move the site plan be approved with a noted change of the parking spaces.
Second.
It's been moved and properly second that the plan be approved with the noted changes. All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it, so it is.
Thank you.
Sir, be present at the December 6th Board of Supervisors meeting at 9 a.m. It'll be in this room.
Okay. You still have one item.
Thank you.
Motion to accept December's date,
Oh, wait a minute. You got another item on the thing.
is it?
Oh, you want to address the sign?
Have a sign.
Okay.
Oh, we said sign.
Trying to find where's the location on that sign. Okay, I see it. I see it. I just want to be sure that that sign Mr. Vilder?
Excuse me,
Bill, could you come back?
question?
Yes.
That solid base on that sign needs to be located such that it does not obstruct view up the street. And I can't tell where, I don't think it will, but that might be a concern, since you have a solid base on that sign. It needs to be, you need
Well-
to be sure where it's located, that it doesn't affect sight line up the street.
Excellent. We'll make sure of that and make sure, we'll put a site visibility triangle on it and make sure that it's not in that,
Okay, do that, all right.
not a problem.
I move the sign be accepted.
Been moved to,
Second.
moving properly accepted, that the sign be accepted. All
Aye.
in favor?
Aye.
So it is.
Thank you.
All right.
I should have asked to be excused. I apologize. If you have anything else, I'm here.
That's it.
All right.
All right, motion to accept December's date of 16th.
December 16th.
Yes, sir.
Mr. President and Planning Commission members, the reason why I set that date as the third Thursday was that we have a Mansdale Livingston hearing coming up, and they meet the second Monday. And so this will fall after that, and it just kind of throws things in line to work out for the Board of Supervisors meeting after that,
Okay.
if that's acceptable to y'all.
So moved. Second. Whichever one you need.
Moved and properly second. So it is, December 16th.
Okay,
Meeting's
approved.
adjourned.
Yes, done.